Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rice News journalist, Emmanuel Ifeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning.
Yes, we'll start the review with
Malavite in blue. Malavite in blue. When you have two blues by Malavite, what do you call it again?
No, I'm not going to take that bet. You want me to say Baba Blue?
No. Well, we start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, Yahaya, army will contain all threats to nation's sovereignty, says operations against saboteurs raised oil production to 1.3 million barrels per day. Major shakeup as Navy redeploys senior officers. Yes, the Chief of Army Staff. Yes, Ruben, you captured it very well. Like the lizard that did not get commendation. The Chief of Army Staff using that Chief of Army Staff quarterly conference to go through what the Army has done in the last 1 year, and indeed praising the efforts of the Nigerian Army. Yes, in terms of security and in terms of stopping oil thieves. But we must put things in context. Yes, because now it's very easy for everybody to say, oh, we fought oil thieves to a standstill and we now have increased production in our oil and the oil sector. Because the Nigerian Army and the Nigerian Navy, almost forever, they've been patrolling the Niger Delta region. But oil stealing went on unabated. It must be stated very clearly to remind one and all that when that multi-billion naira contract was awarded to the company owned by government Ekpemepolo, aka Tompolo, of course it raised eyebrows, but the result was that all the points where people were stealing Nigerian oil unabated with shipload leaving the country without being detected were now being plugged, and the increase in production will see. Well, Tompolo and his group will want to take the credit, even as the Chief of Army Staff is thumping his chest. Now, in terms of security, yes, so much boots on the ground all around the country. At a point, it's like the Nigerian military being overstretched. But to also weigh in on the side of the Nigerian Army, recall that it was only sometime last year, November, if I recall very well, that the President Muhammadu Buhari said, I have given the military free hand. So I'm sure military historians will also want to record for the future that there was a time the President did not give the military free hand. So what that free hand or the lack of it meant, I'm sure military experts will also want to decode in due course. Now, let's just move over. But before we leave the front page of this day, of course, the photograph there, the inauguration of the National Media Complaints Commission. Yes, independent body put together by the Nigerian media for people who have complaints about publications, what is being broadcast, to make their complaints. And I think this is a welcome development, not waiting for the government. The media seizing the moment, seizing the initiative to check itself, as it were, if need be. Well, I think the chairman of that committee is Emeka Izeze, if I recall. Yes, Emeka Izeze, my boss at the Guardian. Yes. Guardian. And I think, shouldn't we be
before you run away?
Shouldn't we be calling him the Ombudsman General of Nigeria? But that title does not exist right now. But I'm sure somewhere along the line we'll be considering that. So kudos to Emeka Izeze and that team of distinguished Nigerians, both from the media and outside the media. And I'm very sure they will do a very good job. Now, if we look at other stories quickly, the Punch newspaper, of course, reporting the Chief of Army Staff conference ahead, handover military vows to crack down on security threats, warns IPOB others. Now, the Guardian newspaper, yes, where Emeka Ezeze was managing director for many years. Afenifere Ohaneze Arewa youth reject interim government plot. Adebanjo, Ajayi remains suspended, has no right to issue statement for Afenifere. Indigbo not part of any conspiracy. Plans to attend Tinubu's swearing in. Decide presidential petitions before May 29. Agbakoba tells Tribunal. I don't know whether that will be feasible because going by extant laws, they have 180 days.
Doubt it.
Yes.
It's not going to be possible.
Of course. So why will the judges and even the parties be in a hurry when they have 180 days to deal with the matter going by the extant law?
Mr. Efeni, but
Yes.
it's a shame on us as a country that we are not doing that, because that was one of the provisions in the Ways report over 13 years ago.
Yes, a recommendation.
It was part of the recommendation in the Ways report.
But it has not been legal backing
So
yet.
if we decided to not to give it legal backing and pick and choose, shame on us and shame on our political system.
Well, we should be
Shame
heading
on
in
us.
that direction.
We should be heading in that direction.
I agree with you
because
totally.
if it was done 13 years ago from the Ways report and we are not implementing it today, then shame on us.
Now, if we look at the Vanguard newspaper, Return of Bandits, the Chief of Army Staff should take note because he was talking about what they have done in terms of security. Vanguard newspaper, Return of Bandits, gunmen terrorize Niger, Kaduna, Kogi, Bayelsa, Adamawa. Bandits killed 2 villagers, abduct 34, escaped with arms in Niger. Gunmen kill APC World Chairman. Other villagers in Kogi, gunmen invade Adamawa community, kill 3. Insecurity still a potent threat. And the president said he will clear every shade of insecurity before May 29. So, Mr. President, these guys are still well and kicking and disturbing innocent Nigerians. Now, if we look at the Nation newspaper, the Nation newspaper, yes, governors elect at war over funds, projects. Alia takes on autumn in Benue, Oti tackles Ikpeazu in Abia, Kano is Abba versus Ganduje. Yes, the governors elect, they cannot wait. They are wading into state matters, but there can only be one governor at a time. Yes, I St. Alia tackling Samuel Otom, the governor of the outgoing, yes, because in less than 60 days, he will be former governor, outgoing governor of Benue State. And of course, in Kano, Abba Yusuf, the governor-elect of a member of the NNPP, is tackling incumbent governor Ganduje over contracts, over state finance, because if I were a governor-elect, I won't sit and watch the incumbent taking huge loans in this last minute, injury time, as it were, if we're talking about football duration. And of course, key decisions, making new appointments. But again, there can only be one governor at a time. So if you are not satisfied as governor-elect, take note. If you have to reverse things, you do so when you take over come May 29, 2023. Now, the new Telegraph newspaper, Nigeria's oil shipments stranded as European buyers shun product. New Telegraph. 20 vessels hunting for customers. Sellers have limited options. Oil prices rise to almost year high as Brent hits $84.53 per barrel. OPEC confirms surprise output target cut of over 1 million barrels per day. Now, problem with Nigerian oil. When the rest of the world are making kill, we have problems. And Business Day also reporting that story. Subsidies, stranded crude rob Nigeria of gains of OPEC cuts. Not only crude oil, as the Daily Trust is reporting, despite dollar restriction, Nigeria imports 300 billion naira palm oil in 6 years. Gas supply from Malaysia, India, China, Cameroon. A barrel sells for over $600. Work, vision needed to revamp sector. Expert. Now, one of the sad stories of Nigeria. These countries, of course, the biggest exporters of palm oil today, Singapore and Malaysia. They export 84% of palm oil. Nigeria used to be in the forefront. These countries, Malaysia, Singapore, they came to Nigeria in the 60s to take seedlings from 9-4 Nigeria Institute of Palm Oil Research. And today, we are importing, they are exporting. Sad story of Nigeria. Ruben Rufai. But of course, the foreign newspapers, if we look at the New York Times, talking about Trump in that historic appearance today, and the world will be watching. Former president of the United States of America will be indicted. Yes, he's cruising, riding the wave of to raise funds. But I'm sure by the time the details of his indictment are made known, I'm not too sure many Republicans will want to associate with that kind of behavior. Ruben Arufai.
Okay, Dr. Patton.
Well, the irony, of course, is that, this arraignment of President Donald Trump is solidifying his hold, if you like that word, on the Republican Party. It may distance the larger American majority from him, but, he's profiting from it. More so, perhaps, because, at the end of the day, even if he's convicted, it's not going to have any material effect on his ambition to be president, to run for presidency in 2024. And then, of course, another interesting part of it is that, look, he's not going to be arrested. There's not going to be a formal arrest. And, it's been made clear they are not going to take his mugshot. And he's not going to be in handcuffs. He will plead guilty. The charges will be read out to him, about 34. But at the end of the day, he will go back to Mar-a-Lago. But it is important that a former president is being asked to come and account for felony and misdemeanors. But the bigger ones will be the issues about January 6, 2021 assault on the Capitol, and also being in possession of classified documents. That's that about that. Now, the second issue is that I saw an interesting story in the UK, in one of the papers. I don't know which paper it is now, about Easter holiday being affected because there is a backlog of persons who cannot get the British passport. The waiting time is such a long time, and I looked at it, I said, well, so it happens elsewhere. So Nigerians complain, they say, oh, well, to get passport in Nigeria is a big problem. You have to wait a long time. You go through a lot of bureaucracy. Well, it happens in Britain too. People are waiting to get, to renew their passports or to get new passports. But the caveat to that, you may well say that, well, we shouldn't compare apples and oranges. One system has the capacity to address it and sort it out. In our own, problems tend to go on and on and on.
So real quickly, it's just a sad story of Nigeria. And that's why I keep saying it is leadership that makes the people poor. You talked about oil palm. In the 50s, the Malaysians. And see how far they have gone. Over the years, we've not been able to even develop the various breeds, the Tenera, the Dura, the Piscifera breeds we have. And the shocking thing is that if you harness oil palm properly, it can fetch you more money than crude oil. We have seen economies grow with oil palm.
A barrel of palm oil sells for $600.
And a barrel of crude oil sells for $84.
84,
so you can see that you can mix.
But we have abandoned, we seem to have abandoned palm oil.
No, but there are still some.
Because we have crude oil.
No, there are still some companies.
No, we have companies. We know we have companies.
But the truth is, how easy is the environment of work for them? What is the ease of doing business like for them? The likes of the Okomu oils and all of that. How easy it is for them. And how can we help them scale? That's what we should think about holistically. I think, in all honesty, this crude oil spoiled us. It's fast becoming a curse. It was supposed to be a blessing. But except you backtrack, and you see, we keep talking about Dutch disease. The name came from Holland, because Holland too made this mistake when they discovered gas in 1959. And for so many years, they started depending on gas until they backtrack and fix their problem. This over-dependence on crude oil that shut down other sectors. Look at our cocoa. The highest rate of cocoa production we had was in the early 70s. After that high rate of cocoa production, since then, nothing has happened. At some point in the 60s, we used to do 1/3 of the tomatoes in the West African sub-region. Today, we hardly can do that. So these are a lot of low-hanging fruits we can latch on to be able to produce. But like I say, if a leader does not have the foresight, if he's poor in the mind, he will impoverish his people.
Well, thank you very much, Emmanuel Ofeni. When next you are going to wear the same color, give me notice.
Okay, I will do. Now we form Rufai, so that I can follow along. So that he doesn't think it's old boys connection. We are shutting him out of the...